Perfect. All right. So as you all know, today's topic is everything practice management entitled to 1 hour CPD and professionalism CPD credits, of course. Again, reiterating that uLaw only conducts professionalism CPD. So whenever you're joining a uLaw CPD webinar, please remember that we only conduct professionalism CPD, and you're entitled for 1 hour. Probably at the end of this webinar, you could log into your respective law society portals and claim your 1 hour CPD credits. For those of you joining new, uLaw is a Canadian legal practice management software that helps Canadian legal professionals record their day-to-day activities that concerns client stuff and matter management and accounting as well. For any questions or for any difficulties with audio, if you need any help, assistance, I request you to enter them on the chat window. Use the chat window for any queries, any questions that you have. I would mostly answer all the questions towards the end of the session, but if you're facing any difficulties with audio or any slide presentations, I request you to use chat window at any time. I have two of our support staff members available here, so they would keep engaging on the chats during this webinar. All right, so almost to fag end of the year. December already 10 days almost gone. So last 2 weeks have been CPD. Last week was a CPD webinar, and this week again is a CPD webinar from uLaw. And next week being one of the last weeks, one of the last CPDs, or rather, this is going to be the last CPD for this year. But next week we have another topic, which is going to be a lighter topic. I request you all to visit our website, uLaw.io/webinar, for any queries you have on the topics. And I also request all of you to make more suggestions on info@uLawPractice.com, write us emails, or you can also, end of the session, give us your suggestions on what kind of topics you'd like to hear from us towards beginning of next year. All right, so without wasting further time, I'd like to quickly jump into topics. Agenda. What are we going to see in today's agenda? Starting with client intake. The focus on today's webinar is going to be high-level subject matter on how practice management works with professional obligations, such as various requirements. As a legal practitioner, what are you obligated to fulfill from a standpoint of law society? At the same time, let's say while you're being audited, or some aspects where you have to comprehend as to what is required for various standpoints, including communication, client intake, file management, professional management, various other aspects that you see here. We've kind of jotted down into 7-point series, right from the time you intake a client to the time you manage your time. Everything is being covered here in today's professional obligations as part of this everything practice management CPD topic. We're going to be seeing all of these points, which are considered as fundamental obligations, of course, right? From how to manage your client intake, matter, file, how do you maintain paper or electronic records, keeping a track of numbers involved in running businesses, ledgers, journals, how to keep them readily available for monthly reconciliations, and how best you can work as legal practitioner which is where the professional management and the time management and personal management comes into role. So we're going to cover all of these today in today's topic. We are going to definitely look into all these areas, considering there could be more than that, but also understanding what are the right tools, technologies, processes. Try to be on top of these obligations. We're going to see how it's achievable within a certain standpoint, and or rather certain processes in place, putting yourself through certain processes and ensuring all of them are taken care of. This is kind of what we're going to look into today. I personally like everything practice management. If someone asks me what is the best way I could learn how to manage my practice, I would just point them to our YouTube video saying everything practice management, which technically covers right from the time you intake a client to the time you give them a closing letter. So what are the steps involved? What are your obligations? What are your responsibilities? What are the kind of accounting data that you have to keep a track of? So there are a whole bunch of these that goes into picture, that goes, there are a lot of BPAs, there are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes of handling a client, behind the scenes of working on the transactions, right from the time you onboard them to the time, like I said, you give them a closing letter. So we're going to look into the 7 fragments. I like to call them as 7 fragments: client intake, file management, financial management, business management, professional management, time management, and personal management. So all of us have been through these steps, but it's just that we're trying to connect these dots today and see where the process falls into place and what are the obligations that are required from your end to be fulfilled. Starting off with client intake, which is the primary thing, which is where everything gets started while you're running a business or running a legal firm. Kind of bread and butter that we deal with is client intake, service, and communication. We know that end of the day, it is the happiness of your clients that gets converted into referrals, that gets converted into secondary services, which means first time they've reached out to you, let's put it as primary service, and then they're probably reaching out to you again. So repeated clients is what I mean. So all this happens with probably how you have served them. And this is also part of making sure that you're capturing the information and reviewing the process on how you are capturing it. So right from the detailed recording of calls and consultations to it, fulfilling the obligation given out by your law society, which is conflict check, and determining the kind of fees that you want to charge, whether deciding the workflow or flow chart, retainer, whether you're going to charge them through retainer or you're going to charge them through getting the money into your general account after invoicing, after the work is completed, or you're going to, get the money before you start the work, which is into the trust account. At that time where you're going to be drafting your agreement, and what are the points that goes into your retainer agreement, whether you're doing a flat rate fee or whether you're doing the billable time, all of them counts part of it. And defining the way or style in which you want to ask for the fees. What is the method of transaction? What is it that you prefer, whether you prefer a check or whether you prefer an electronic method? Understanding all the pros and cons of deciding or choosing the style of work, everything falls under clearly within the boundaries that you're, probably, choosing, rather, selecting within the available options. So from the time you onboard a client, deciding which method of onboarding that you're going to be choosing, whether you're doing an electronic form or a paper pen method, or if you're using a practice management software like uLaw, there's a client portal that you could utilize, whether you're using a client portal to communicate with a client, to do a client intake. What is it? What is the method of communication that you're selecting to go ahead and have them on board or have them intake with the process? And after that is done, after you've decided whether you're proceeding with the file, whether you're doing a conflict check for confidential information, and once you decide and proceed, are you providing them with a retainer letter determining the fees and the method of payments, etc.? Or if you have decided not to proceed, whether you're giving them a non-engagement letter. Everything is equally important, and that fulfills the process, that fulfills the obligations that you're required to conduct or carry out. This is mainly where your professional obligation lies, and in terms of a client intake process. And this is this 5-step process for client intake is definitely going to be, you know, making sure that you're taking care of all the steps that you're obligated to do right from the time you hand over that client intake form to your client. Like I said, it could be a paper pen method or an electronic form, or sending them a simple link and asking them to audit. It could be even from your web page. A lot of them these days have their own web page and have an online form, an instant online form or a live online form that gets submitted, and you're able to take a call from there. So there's several ways you arrive at a specific method, and you're going to probably ask them to go ahead, fulfill it, and then it goes on from there. So as I discussed, each and every step requires the fundamental responsibilities to be fulfilled from your end. And, Law Society definitely looks into conflict check or source of contacts, fees. The fee book is part of, again, compliances that you're required to be maintaining. So all of these forms part of your professional obligations. So make sure that right from the time you intake, it's very important to maintain these documents and keep them handy. While client intake continues, where we saw the second or third point about creating a retainer agreement once you decide on the fees and once you decide upon other criteria, what are those specific criteria or responsibilities that you want to be including in the retainer letters? What I've jotted down here for you all. So right from nature and scope of matter, whether this is going to have a specific scope that is put forth under the agreement, and the responsibilities for both, of course, the client and yourself, scheduling the course of representation, and also ensuring the arrangements, the method and frequency of communication and other retainer arrangements, whether you're going to be getting the money in form of cash or in the form of check or electronic fund transfers. What is it that you're expecting out of this particular transaction, and also including retainer termination details. Everything needs to be entered within that retainer agreement. And these are some points. If you ask me, I would say take a nice screenshot of this. It's totally fine. And, try, if you're drafting a retainer agreement on your own, I think these are certain points that you should keep in mind while you're drafting it. I mean, of course, if you're using, again, a practice management software like ours, that's readily available in there and in our retainer agreement, these are certain points that we've already covered in there. So please make sure if you are drafting or preparing something of your own, you're making sure to include all of these uh, topics in your retainer agreement, as this serves as the uh, method of primary method of communication as well as the primary evidence, where you're able to collect or gather all the information and present it to your client, and you're able to hold to it until the particular case is completed. So retainer agreement along with conflict check, or right after the conflict check, while you decide what is the method of uh, you know payment, or what is the method that you're probably looking to opt for between trust account or getting the money into general after invoicing. So make sure those are taken off, while quickly moving into the next aspect of the 7 points that we are in the, I think, third one probably, or second one, file management, which includes, of course, your file checklist, making sure all your matters, all your, once you're done with the client intake, of course, so file management typically starts only after the client intake is done and the retainer agreement is signed. Then people open a file for their own clients where the obligations around client and matters are being recorded. Important components are being gathered, and separate files for each matter is being created. And this is where you would need to create a checklist and confirm each of these files or matters are being completed with the checklist conflict check, and then separate file numbers are being created and they're organized in a chronological order, of course, and all the interactions are being docketed, correspondences are being docketed. There's a cross indexing. If even if there's something that let's say a client has two different matters, they're being cross indexed through alphanumeric numbers. And of course, all of these forms part of file management, and they're very relevant once it comes to the point where there's a secure organization of electronic files, where previously I think all of them were paper pen methods, so mostly everything was bundled and organized, while everything became digital and everything went digital, things started going more electronic. And especially considering all this 2.5 years of everything going over digital media, everything became digitalized again. Electronic files and etc. were being made. So ensuring the secure organization of electronic files are also equally important. So make sure if you're maintaining electronic files, you have a day-to-day backup of your file. If you're using program, again, like a practice management program, everything is available online. Uh, ensure your program covers the backup and the data is being backed up on a regular basis. Yes, you don't have to worry with uLaw. We have a backup of data, but if you're using something of your own, or if you're having, if you're not having so far the habit of keeping a backup of your system, so I would just say try and do that. It's very important to keep your electronic files backed up, and in case it's something. Um, Nice question, Kristen. I would definitely answer that towards the end. Coming to the next one, which is financial management. Uh, we all know we are a little worried about numbers, but honestly speaking, I'm not saying this because I've read accounts. I am just even on a layman's terms, handling numbers. If you follow the rules, the simple golden rules of accounting, I think ensuring your financial data is being captured properly is going to be the best way to manage your financial data. I don't think there will there won't be any specific requirement for your end to keep the financial data up to date until you are being obliged to have all the fees and billable dockets, timesheets, etc., being recorded in the system. So once you get to have it where there's a proper fee scheduling and there's a proper recording of billable time as you keep recording dockets. So this is where practice management comes into role. This is where we play a major role, I feel. Uh, ensuring the dockets are being recorded on time converts into invoicing your client and helps you to get the money into trust or general respectively. And there's a prompt transmission of and delivery of invoices to client and converting them into your AR, which is accounts receivable, and also keeping a systematic track of overpayments if there's anyone who's paid you above your requirement or above your invoiced amount. Refunding them becomes easier, and recording of general accounts through all of these becomes a cakewalk because you have all the debits and all the credits, and you just have to probably, if you're using an Excel spreadsheet, it becomes simple, or if you're using a database management system or a practice management system like uLaw, it's easier to maintain because you just have to enter the information at one end, and it gets converted into various ledgers and journals and receipts and disbursement entries, and maintenance of original banks and books along with your program becomes simpler. That's where the reconciliation process comes into play, and you're able to gather all the receipts and also generate more data for your financial statements. That includes income and expense, as well as your balance sheet and trial balances to gauge on your firm's health, because it is necessary that every now and then that you're able to take a look at what is happening in your firm, whether this particular area of practice is making a profit or loss, and whether there's been a betterment in your your development rather in your area of practice. So these statements play a big role in ensuring that you're on track. So preparation of financial statements also becomes easier while you're managing your finance. So please make sure that you give equal importance to financial management, or rather absolute importance to financial management, right from the time you onboard a client to the time you record the correspondences or record the time and money wherever it is involved, and also keep a track of any overpayments and generate receipts and deposit slips, duplicate checks, everything being verified. That helps you in preparation of the financial statements, which is the ultimate requirement to look into the firm's health. Moving on to the next one, where we already discussed what are the types of um, documents that you're looking to download, or you're looking to, if you're using a program like uLaw. But it is very important where you use any of your own software, your own spreadsheets, your own methods rather. When setting up the accounts, you're able to draw the journals, ledgers, you're able to capture the debits and the credits. So this is where you're able to translate the money that has come in and gone out as receipts and payments and disbursements, and compare your bank statements with the monthly trust or general comparisons. So make sure on a timely and regular basis you're able to download all these documents, of course, if you're using a program like uLaw, or if you're doing something on your own, I highly recommend you to follow your law society requirements from their respective people and follow to fulfill all those obligations. So besides that, looking into business management, I think we're almost on the fourth slide talking about business management. Quickly reiterating today's topic is everything practice management, entitled to 1 hour of CPD credits, professionals of CPD credits across Ontario, British Columbia, New Brunswick, and Ontario. For any questions, I request you to use chat window. Yes, I do see a couple of questions come in. I will definitely address them towards the end of the session. All right, so we're on business management, talking about how to handle various things that's involved in your business while managing a business. Is not only keeping track of financial obligations or your requirement towards your, let's say, your law society compliances, but there are things beyond that. There are some things that you need to concentrate on, making sure you're efficiently using reputed legal software, legal practice management software, ensuring your data is being backed up on a regular basis, ensuring you're using a robust security devices, and all of them are being locked and they're being safe and secured. And you're able to remotely access all of this from anywhere. If you leave your uh, system in the office and you go back home, let's say you have a lockdown again, you're not able to go back to your office for certain reasons. How do you work on it, ensuring that you're able to remotely access everything at any point in time? Now that we've all, managed 2.5 years in our lives without, let's say, uh, meeting people that much, or not even some people I've even interacted with said that, oh, I was just sent back home one fine day, or I came to know that it was a lockdown the next day, and I never got back to my workplace until 2 years now. So how could they access their work emails or their communications remotely? That is where technology today takes you. That is what you as a small business need to adopt, because considering that legal practitioners are mostly sole practitioners or a partnership firm with one or two partners, it's not that easy to set up remote legal practices or robust security devices, or regularly backed up secured file maintenance that you need to do, or efficiently using legal software. So these are certain points that actually rings an alarm or rings a bell in your head, saying that, okay, this is where I need to find my need, or understand my need and find a software that helps me do all of this from anywhere at any time. So keep in mind that business management as a sole practitioner is not just keeping yourself compliant with law society. Of course, managing your business later on helps you to develop various things for your client management, your matter management. Everything develops better overall. But yes, business management is about managing your business, and slowly moving on to professional management. This is probably where uh, we are. It's this is one of it. In fact, considering that you're attending a CPD session already, tells you by itself that this is what you are looking to uh, you know, do over a professional management, such as talking about today's CPD or membership of your professional association, ensuring your membership fee is being paid on time, ensuring that your renewal happens on time, reviewing the new legislations, case laws, reviewing all the professional conduct guidelines. I know it's going to be a small part in your day-to-day activity as a legal practitioner, but this is something I would say is of this is something that you will have to give as a high maintenance or high importance to be maintained throughout your professional management, throughout your career. And, once you're professional, you're always a professional. So, that is why it's called CPD. Continuity in professional development is absolutely important. Uh, so uLaw delivers free CPDs at least twice a month. We're trying to make it more, but I know at least the best that we do is 2 free CPDs a month and try and make the best out of it. And keep your CPD hours updated, your memberships updated. Uh, Keep yourself updated with the case laws and the professional conduct guidelines. All of these also contribute to your professional management. All of these is, in fact, what is contributing to your professional management. And while we all talk about time management, especially in today's world where everything is time, time is money, time is revenue, and time equals revenue, in fact, uh, I this is where you need to maintain a to-do list. I think even at home we're so used to having a to-do list now. That's one thing I love doing as soon as I wake up because I'm so clumsy. Sometimes I tend to forget what's happening. So one thing I definitely don't miss out on doing first thing in the morning is maintain my to-do list for the day or for the week. I also have it for the month. So I love doing that, and I also recommend my clients to do your to-do list. If you're again using uLaw, there's calendar. There's something called to do. In fact, in your docket, if you're docketing, you'll find a drop-down option saying this is to do. So this is appearing on your to-do list. In fact, on the dashboard. And yes, to-do list is definitely going to help with better time management and managing your active files and marking them down as whether they are active or whether they're being closed, archived. It definitely needs to be done so that you're able to first of all maintain them as a bucket in which only your active files needs your constant visit into that program or into that specific need your attention rather for that specific time period and time dockets for whether it's a billable time, non-billable time. Of course, billable time, time dockets that forms part of your matter management, but non-billable hours, we tend to do a lot of other works and maybe do pro bono, so many other things that involve time management. Find ways to process, to record them, review them through timesheets so that you're able to make sure that that's probably how the time is being well managed. So you're able to understand where your time is being spent well. And that's about time management. We're almost at the last two parts of the webinar, which is going to talk about time management as well as personal management. Now, considering that time management was more of what you tend to do or what you ought to do, and it is not just about billable time but also non-billable, and finding a good way or method to process them and record them and review them on a regular basis through the timesheets or through any other data management system that you're using. Now, personal management is something that I know I would highly recommend all of us to practice, including myself, where, given the profession, how stressful, nevertheless, we need to find energy to do it day in, day out, but also at the same time find satisfaction in what you're doing with, um, you know, your legal practice. Enjoy your specific area of practice. So when you're doing something general or when you're doing something general, let's say if you're choosing general law, if you're choosing a real estate law or family law, there should be something that definitely provokes you to choose that area of practice that provides you that enjoyment. That's something that gives you a satisfaction end of the day when you go back home. You feel so complete, and you enjoy doing it without knowing how you do. That's probably that I would say that forms part of the that forms part of the great foundation for your personal management. That's the basic when it comes to personal management. I think if your job satisfaction is not there to the level it has to be, that's something then you need to think about and work on. So, uh, like, how are your professional management, time management, file management, matter management, contact client management? There's so many things that we saw in the last put together 40 minutes, but personal management is above and beyond all of them. Even though it comes in one of those last few slides, but I'd say this is where your growth and progress lies. If you are someone who's not able to go back into your office and put in the same amount of effort that you did on the very first day at your work, then I think this is something that you have to readdress, or this is something that you have to rethink on maybe your area of practice or your style of practice, or your process, something that needs to be changed, or something that needs to be revisited, right? So this is where your entire growth perspective and progress and financial success of your practice lies. And ensuring that you're able to record the time you spend at work and also the vacation you take, you're able to give yourself the time, you're able to proudly say that, oh, I'm a 9 to 5 person, and then I have another life post 5. So that's something where we all should aim to be in, I think, and ensuring a proper work-life balance is where the stress management is also taken care of. And I mean, I say this, but I still love working in less hours. But there should be a balance. There should technically be, you're able to give yourself the best in that 8 to 10 hours in a day. And I think that by itself gives you an overall personal management, and you're able to come up with a big success, growth, progress, of course, financial success, and you're able to see the curve, or you're able to see the improvement in yourself. And yeah, that's probably a bigger part of using a practice management solution, because it saves you a lot of time, and it converts into productivity, and you're able to enjoy that time somewhere else. So this is why I recommend more people to use a practice management system, because you're not technically repeating, or you're not technically doing the same thing what you did over yesterday, and you're probably doing something new, something different, but you're still seeing the end results in the progress. All right, so quickly moving on to benefits of practice management. I mean, I think we've seen so far all the 7 fragments or points that of professional obligations for a client, for a file, as financial, business, professional, time, and personal management. Just quickly discussing a few more points based on why to use practice management and what forms part of matter management and other things. So this is something that will help you to understand why use a program like uLaw. Like I already said, it does several other things. It's like you taking a robot's help in vacuuming your house. It's definitely going to be, I mean, I know I gave a layman's example, but just imagine you having to do everything separate, like maintaining the records, maintaining the accounts, maintaining the clients, maintaining various documents. So everything put together is a practice management for you. There's a, and it comes at a better cost of ownership. You're able to reduce on an overhead cost by making an investment into a program or a practice management system. In a long run, you will feel that in a long run, your total cost of ownership will be significantly less because you're investing your time somewhere else instead of maintaining all these that we just discussed over the last 45 minutes. And let's say better efficiency in practice because you're able to maximize your time, you're able to utilize it somewhere else because there's so many things automated in uh, today's software and or in today's practice management system, saving you so much time to put towards what really matters, which is your development of your clients or development of your business, ensuring everything is running smooth. So, which is what you need to do than sitting and doing your accounts or doing a template or doing receipts. That's not what you really need to do as a legal practitioner. You have the real thing that matters, and you need to work on efficiency while it comes to using a practice management solution. And yeah, and also making sure all your compliances are being taken care because if you're using a practice management system like uLaw, that provides you with all documents with one click button, and of course you need to do your data entry. You can't tell me that, hey Gayatri, I'm trying to download this, but I don't see anything in it. It comes out blank. Of course, you need to record your clients. You need to record um, what kind of work you did for them, raise invoices, record retainers, or just, or general account money, which is a client payment. And then you start seeing when you download those journals, receipts journals, payments journals, disbursement journals, all the ledgers, trust ledgers, general ledgers. When you download such documents, you would actually see those data that you've entered or it gets transformed or gets transmitted into these documents, forms that are compliant with Law Society now, depending upon whichever is your Law Society, Ontario, New Brunswick, British Columbia. Previously, was called as LSUC, but right now, whichever Law Society, whichever respective Law Society of yours, and of course, their compliance is being taken care of if you're using a practice management like you are. And lastly, practice from anywhere. That's my the favorite part of using a practice management system. Literally allows you to, of course, if it's a cloud-based, again, if it's a cloud-based technology, allows you to practice from anywhere, accessing those files out of office. How lovely it is, and on any device, of course. It's not like you're forever stuck to the system that you're using, but yes, gives you the freedom of practicing from anywhere, any device, until and unless you have your um, login credentials, which is something I make sure to save and have it somewhere handy. So yeah, that's part of what are the benefits of practice management. That's something that I really wanted to discuss today as part of everything practice management. Matter management. I know we saw about matter management earlier briefly, but just again reiterating on what are your daily operations as a law practice, providing efficient matter management is vital. It plays a vital role, and it's very important to ensure your practice achieves its potential um, while generating dockets or disbursements and other documents in the matter with with a single click of a button. All these forms part of file organizations, phone and meeting dockets, correspondences, that's what it's called, and disbursement management and matter status updating, so which even includes the time from the time you give matter title and matter, let's say a file number, to the time you record those dockets. or correspondences with the client, and also record the disbursements, raise an invoice, get the money in it, give them a receipt, and update the status saying whether it's still active or closed, or where is it, what is it up to. If it's archived, whether should I, just forget about that file, or if it's active, should I go and close it? If it's done, should I send them a closing letter? All these forms part of matter status updating. So this is definitely one of the important points to note, because if you're using a file management system or a practice management system, matter status updating is mostly, it's overlooked, I would say, by some of us. I mean, I tend to do that too. I mean, like when I open matters, I mean, I would finish my work on it. I would neither remember to send a closing letter nor I would update the matter status. But this is so simple that if you're using a practice management, you can just simply download a closing letter for that file and simply go into Mark as and close the file, because at least you're not, while you're looking up for the client's names or details of the file, those closed files don't come into your review or while you're trying to view anything else. So that's probably why I would mention to use all of those fields that you don't often use, right? Like mark as and close it. And quickly moving on to matter analytics, means probably helping you to measure the practice health for business improvement, um, where you understand what is your practice, what is the state of your practice, to see what corrective action needs to be taken, whether the file has been completed, whether are there any pending invoices in there, whether there are any pending trust transfers in there, whether the invoices needs to be completed and sent out to the client, any money that is being outstanding that needs to be received from them. All those forms part of understanding what is the state of your practice for the specific client, and that matter. And as a sole practitioner, you also need to understand that your practice, whether it's a success or failure, there's always room to improve in future, and that you're with the matter analytics, that if you're using a program again like uLaw, there's a separate section for matter analytics where you're able to analyze what empowers your law office to answer powerful questions, including whether, depending upon your area of practice, when you're using meta-analytics, you're able to arrive at analysis such as whether real estate law did more, or whether wills and estate did more, or whether your family did more or less. Depending upon the complementing components, that you're able to arrive at a decision and follow the same from upcoming, or do even better for your upcoming quarters or the year, whichever is the period that you're looking for. So make sure your matter analytics is being reviewed on time to time. And calendar management. So I know we discussed about time management, but calendar management, even though a small portion of it is part of time management, this is something that I always encourage you to definitely look into, because I don't know how many of you tend to forget your meetings, but I do sometimes. If I don't review my calendar the previous night or the previous day before I wind up, or the first day in the morning, ensuring the latest at least the first day in the morning, as soon as I wake up. So I love syncing personal calendars and official calendars, so I'm able to knock out all my time that I'm available. And like I said, ensuring that you have a daily, weekly review, and all your matter dockets are there in the calendar as well. So if you're using a practice management, you can directly dock it from the calendar or do vice versa too, and have a complete review on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So everything is being up to date and taken care of. So these are some things that I definitely recommend all of you to look into. And with all of those coming up with forms that are being automated, and you're able to see that with practice management, things are getting better. You are able to, uh, you know, take a chance and uh, look into different perspectives of using practice management. So since we were discussing about the points that were about on benefits of practice management, one of them that we added as a slide here is about forms automation. So right now, if you're currently using forms for your practices, uh, uLaw also allows you to generate your own forms at the same time. You can also save time through using pre-populated forms under each file or matter, where you have family law code forms, small claims code form, LTD. So there's several area of practices that uLaw has covered. I request you, if you're a uLaw user, if you're currently using uLaw, uh, all of these forms are being updated and law society compliant. So do try and take time and go look into it. And if you're currently not a uLaw user, I would say sign up for a free 30-day trial and you'll be able to definitely make a huge difference in your practice, and you're able to, whatever that we discussed over the last few slides, right from the time, you know, line management or client intake process happened to the time, we discussed about um, personal management. Everything is being taken care of here. So I would highly recommend you to look into that. And while I think there are some questions that came in on the chat window, I am going to quickly take a look at it. Yes, how do we do all these steps in uLaw? Christian, I think I missed out on which time or which question you exactly asked these steps, but I'd be happy to give you a call and walk you through these steps, or I can set up a session with you and walk you through these steps. Um, but all these steps that we just discussed are, of course, readily available. Like I said in uLaw, I can quickly, I think we have 4 minutes remaining. I can quickly share with you on how to do this in uLaw. In uLaw, again, like I said, there's contacts readily available for you to add clients. If you're adding someone manually, you could just simply do add new client and add in the client information, complete it, and do the conflict check. There's a compliance tab readily available for you to click on it and do the conflict check over here once you add a client. Or if you're someone who likes to send out a electronic form to the client, you can click on document generation and download a client intake form and send it out to them. Or one step further, this client portal, to send out the link to the client directly and ask them to uh, fill in the form online and submit it online so that it'll appear as a name over here. So there are three different ways, if you're using uLaw program, to update the client status, or rather client intake status, and complete the client intake. And once that is done, you do the conflict check, and post that you open a matter and you start doing the file. Here is where your file management comes into play. So you start with giving the client matter a title, and then choosing the area of practice, giving the file numbers, the description, the amounts, the rates, all the fees and other things are determined at this point in time. This is where you build a retainer agreement or a retainer letter. Again, under compliance tab over here, you find other set of documents that is required by law society. And you can download a retainer letter over here and mention what is the retainer that you'd like to collect. And you'll be able to do a PDF or a Word to make the changes as well. And besides that, you're also able to generate other documents. You're able to record the dockets over here. So all these steps are covered. That all that we discussed in the last, let's say, 55 minutes, you're able to do all of them within the program and record the dockets. And here's where I said we could also do a to-do list. So if you're doing a to-do, you can see there's a duration to do in time all day. So if you're doing a to-do, you can just say, I have a court hearing, attend court, and that's coming up on, let's say, 12th of December. Then you save it and you'll actually see this under the dashboard, first of all, if you're having to do over here. But if you're not having to do, you will have to bring it up as a to do from your settings. And even if you go into your calendar, if you're synced your calendar, technically you should be able to see 12th of December. The docket should show up here if you sync the calendar, or if you're not, you need to show all your time dockets, etc. over here. And besides that, you're also able to do the dockets with all the descriptions. You're able to invoice the client, and all the money that you have received into trust or general respectively needs to go into the respective tabs. Again, you're able to generate the receipts from here, generate invoices from here, generate any kind of statements from here for the client and the law society. All the code forms are available here. The document generation tab has other documents that you need for your file management, and that also has legal aid documents and other client ID verification forms, statement of activity. Most of it are available under statements and compliances. And lastly, once you're done with this file work, you can go ahead and click on either close or archive. Give them a closing letter also under compliance. You can see you're able to download a closing letter. So all of these forms part of your, all the points that professional obligations that we discussed, right from the time you intake a client to the time you manage, you do the time management and personal management. So make sure everything that we discussed today is being covered, and everything that we discussed today is being addressed rather, and the needful is done from your end. I hope all of you have gotten a better idea of what are your obligations as a legal practitioner to be fulfilled. I request all of you to enter on the chat window if you have any questions, any further questions rather. And I believe my colleague, Ms. Stephanie, has added a few important links for you to take a look at. If you are able to not find any links on your chat window, kindly email us on support@ulawpractice.com, and we'll be happy to assist you or walk you through any of your queries, as well as provide you with the links that were submitted here on the chat window. I'll wait probably for a couple of more minutes to see if there are any other questions. And if there are any other questions, I welcome it on the chat window, or send us an email on support@ulawpractice.com. Thank you. We are number 36. So glad we all benefit from this session. So like I said, today is the last CPD for the year, and next week we have a lighter topic. If I'm not wrong, it's on matter management, but yeah, so let me quickly take a look at it. Oh no, it's uLaw business reporting. Okay, that's something I think you all should try and join. Even though it's not a CPD, we're gonna explore into more reports. We're gonna explore and look into what kind of reports, right from the time contact level to the time calendaring, accounting, matter level. Everything is going to be addressed. So do take some time off. Try to give us your 2 to 3 p.m. every Friday afternoon. Send this message to your friends, to your colleagues. Try and bring in more of your people into this webinar. This is something that we're trying to do every other week. Sure, we can definitely discuss more. Let me stop the recording here. Thank you. Thank you again, one and everyone joining today's webinar. I look forward to seeing you all next week, December 16th, from 2 to 3 p.m. Thank you.